From Buffalo Wild Wings by the Birdcage in Sioux Falls, welcome to Benchwarmers. Today's featured guests are host of Varsity Sports and Varsity Sports Live, Jason Andera. Midco Sports Network's football analyst, Hank McCall. Host of Midco Motorsports and Coyote Corner, Jay Elsen. And our host, Midco Sports Network's Tom Nieman.
Hello, welcome once again to Benchwarmers. We're at Buffalo Wild Wings in Sioux Falls, and this is the final show of the summer for this show because it is time to play some football and get football going. We'll talk a lot about that with Jason Andera, our high school football guy. And Jason, just jump in on that. Why should we be excited about high school football? Teams are getting going right now in North and South Dakota, aren't they?
Every year it seems like we get better and better athletes at the high school level. Yeah. What I'm particularly excited about after watching some of the 7-on-7 football that we've done is looking at some of the quarterbacks across the state of South Dakota. Brevin Kaiser, in particular, in Pierre, is going to be able to spread the ball out, and so that'll be a high-flying attack. In North Dakota, I'm looking forward to watching Minot. That's a team that made it all the way to the finals last year, and I think they've gotten even better. They bring their quarterback back in Ben Belinsky and an NDSU recruit in Braden Lund, so a couple of power teams to watch for this coming season.
All right, maybe another kid in South Dakota that you're rolling around on a Friday night. You want to go watch a kid that's really good. Who would you say?
I think Gerald Maxwell, a guy from Brookings who was kind of second-tier guy last year behind Mikey Daniel, is going to get most of the carries in Brookings, and we might find out he might be the best running back in South Dakota. And that's, to me, always the fun position to watch in high school football is who's got the best running back, and I think Brookings might have it this year.
All right, you guys got our varsity show on Wednesday nights or during the week this year on Midco Sports Network. Watertown moves up to the big class in South Dakota this year, but it's still going to come down in that class probably to right here in Sioux Falls. You think, Jay?
Yeah. Sioux Falls definitely has the teams to beat in Class 11 AAA. Lincoln is coming off of 2 titles in a row. Can they repeat? That's going to be a big question. It's going to be very tough for them to repeat. Roosevelt and Will Gorman look like the 2 best teams in that class.
And I think Lincoln's coming in hamstrung a bit already by injury. During the team camp, they lost their projected starter at quarterback, and so now they've got a wide receiver that's working in at that quarterback spot who's basically went from playing slot receiver in everything they were doing in off-season workouts to in our 7-on-7 thing that you get to see later on this week. All of a sudden he's thrown in there. He's taking reps at quarterback.
By the way.
He did. Yeah. He handled it well. But that's certainly a huge question mark anytime the quarterback goes down and you've got to fill in with a guy that's not familiar with that position. So I'm interested to see that, but I think, the balance of power certainly is going to stay within the city limits this year. I don't see that changing, at least not right now.
All right, and then just quickly, Jason, on 11 AA in South Dakota, your Yanktons, your Piers, your Mitchells, your Hurons, who you like there?
Well, you named a couple of them, Yankton and Pierre. I think they're going to be traditional favorites with the great coaching staffs that they have right now. I think you got to look at Brookings, though, and Harrisburg. It keeps taking inches up that class, and I think this year with the big guys up front, they might be able to compete, past that semifinal round, maybe even make it to the Dome. Can the skill guys do it? They lose a couple good skill guys that they've had for a few years, but on the lines, Harrisburg is the best team in that class.
Yeah, we've been talking a long time about how Harrisburg's going to be a big school one of these days, and we're there now.
This could be a year for them. But Pierre is my pick for that class.
In 11 AA. Yep. All right. We'll talk some more college football later on. We're going to go a little bit off the traditional sports. We got 2 guys up here that are in a fantasy league in the Premier League, in soccer, in football. Is this really a thing that you're in?
It most certainly is a thing, and you're seeing more and more of it broadcast nationally in the U.S. here in the States. The Premier League, the Bundesliga, they just signed a new contract with Fox, I believe. So you're going to see more and more of the elite soccer coming to the United States as the sport continues to gain in popularity. Of course, football, baseball, and basketball still the staples here in the States, but times are changing a little bit.
Fantasy, Premier League. I don't know, Jay played college soccer, but what attracts you to watching big-time international football?
Well, to me, it's my background growing up, being a part of that game and just developing the appreciation for that, and there's a lot of people though that are fans that are becoming fans that don't have that background, that are just catching an eye and seeing the excitement that's there that so many in this country fail to see, in my opinion.
How do you play fantasy soccer? I want to know how you play fantasy soccer. You just get points for goals?
No, goals, assists, clean sheets for the goalkeepers and the defenders as well. I mean, there's a every game's got its ways to score points. There's fantasy golf out there. There's fantasy auto racing. I mean, you can literally do anything you want in terms of that. So that's not a huge
clean sheets, Jandy.
Clean sheets.
What's a fixture? A fixture is just the schedule. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And the table is the standings.
Correct.
Right? Those are the terms for the Premier League.
You got it down. You might as well sign up now.
You guys are amazing. All right. Jay also hosts a show on Midco Sports Network called Midco Motorsports. Last episode of the summer. Coming up this week. Knoxville was this past weekend, and another amazing story there on a driver from North Dakota.
Yeah, Donnie Schatz is obviously writing his own place in history here over the past few years. He had come in to the Knoxville Nationals this year, having won 4 straight, something that he had accomplished for the second time in a span of 9 years. He'd won 8 of the last 9 Knoxville Nationals coming in. He did it again, and the guy he started on the pole, and they build up starting Wednesday night, and they accrue points through qualifying sessions and things like that, and that's how you decide that the top 8 rows right off the bat is just based on points and how you perform on your night of qualifying, because there's so many cars, they have to split it up. And Donnie got the pole, and he led all 50 laps. He never got passed, and so it's the kind of dominance that you see every once in a while in sports, and you see so many haters that come out because of that. People getting sick and tired of the same guy winning over and over again. I think Donnie Schatz is experiencing that. He's a polarizing figure anyway, and so the fact that he's winning really bothers the people that are not Donnie Schatz fans. But that aside, you have to appreciate just what an impressive run this has been. I mean, 9 titles at that event in 10 years is crazy. Steve Kinzer is considered the king of the Outlaws. He's got 12, and so Donnie is nearly there. He's catching him, and that's a record I'm sure at some point or another people never thought would be touched.
Yeah. All right, more on Midco Motorsports this week. Let's talk about MMA, mixed martial arts. It's coming to Sioux Falls this Friday. They've got a thing called the Resurrection Fighting Alliance. It's been around for 3 or 4 years now. It's kind of a feeder to the UFC, the big-time MMA fights. They're coming to Sioux Falls. Are you guys into this, first of all, is the first question. I'm a little queasy about this. I know it's great athletes. I know it's great entertainment, but just people punching each other in the face and trying to submit other guys makes me a little uneasy. But are you into this?
I am. I'm a fan of MMA to a certain degree. I grew up watching some of the bigger boxing matches as a young buck, but I'm from Iowa, and so wrestling's huge in Iowa. High school wrestling, college as well. And so once you were done with college as a wrestler, there really wasn't anywhere for these guys to go. And MMA has created an avenue for these guys to earn a living and continue to hone their craft and to become better athletes. It's a violent sport, but it's a very entertaining one. Just like you mentioned, we see the rise of Ronda Rousey over the past year and what she's been able to do on the national level. It's been fun to watch. I honestly say I'm a fan. I'm not planning to go Friday, but I may just have to check it out.
If Rousey got in the ring with Floyd Mayweather, what would happen? Could she take him?
Absolutely.
I think so.
Ronda's tough. She's mean. Floyd, pretty boy Floyd, he's going to dance around, and as soon as she got a hold of him, I think he'd be in trouble.
But the RFA 29, Logan Storley is a kid from Webster, South Dakota, wrestled collegiately at Minnesota. This is going to be his first professional MMA fight this weekend. There's a kid called named Devin Clark from Sioux Falls, an old Lincoln athlete that's a really great athlete that's going to be on the TV card. So mixed martial arts coming again to the Pentagon in Sioux Falls on Friday. And we're a violent country, aren't we? We like football, we like MMA. Straight out of Compton, earned $56 million over the weekend. What is with us? Why do we like this violence and this whatever it is within us?
That's human nature. I mean, we've been doing that for centuries.
Yes. And
since the gladiators, right? Before folks were actually killing each other in the arena, and we were cheering for that. Thankfully, we've been able to evolve enough where we're not into that anymore. Yeah. Straight Out of Compton, that movie, I haven't had a chance to check it out yet. Getting rave reviews from everybody who's seeing it. Took in a ton of money at the box office this last weekend. I don't know how much violence is actually involved in that movie.
But the outlaw part of it,
sure. But no, we are for the most part, a relatively violent culture. And so, football, MMA, boxing is still, it is what it is. But I don't know what goes into it other than, just like Jandy said, human nature.
But I think people are aggressive, again, in nature. But there's also a lot of people out there that would never take the steps to get in hand-to-hand combat with anybody, let alone do it for a living. And so in a sense, I think a lot of people live vicariously through these people, and they think it's just great that that these guys can go in there, and they're such bad dudes that get in, or bad girls. Mentioned Ronda Rousey. They get into this octagon and they just pound each other into submission, and people get really excited about it. It's exciting. I certainly, like you, Tom, have an appreciation for the level of athleticism that it takes to be good at this. But I, for one, have not personally invested enough time probably to say, yes, I'm a fan, or no, I'm not a fan. It's just kind of on in the background to me. I'll pay attention, but I won't buy it.
All right, we'll see how Storley does this week. It's blowing up, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. All right, when we come back, a little more college football. Notre Dame's got these fabulously hideous uniforms that they're going to wear this year. We'll see what Hank, a big Irish fan, thinks about those. And a former O'Gorman basketball star, big kid at 6'10", that's going to play some football this year at UTEP. We'll talk about him.
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports Network is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back to Benchwarmers, Buffalo Wild Wings here in Sioux Falls. Let's talk some college football. Hank McCall has some Irish in your family background. That's not why you're a Notre Dame fan, you're saying, but anyway, you are a Notre Dame fan.
I am.
What do you think of these green uniforms they're going to wear against Boston College this year?
They are a sight, that's for sure. If you haven't had a chance to see them, go check them out for sure. But it's a special game, so you've got to do something special as far as the jerseys are concerned, something to get folks a little more fired up for the matchup.
I love them.
No, you do? You're about them? All right, good.
I
dig them too, and the kids do for sure. And that's what it's all about with these fancy jerseys anymore. Personally, I'm more of a traditionalist when it comes to the uniforms, but for a unique game like this, you got to try and set yourself apart. When it comes to recruiting, these kids, they want to see the cool stuff. So, throw it
a little bit like the All Reds with the silver helmets the Coyotes came out with.
And that was a huge deal. You remember just a year ago for USD when they came out with Coyote Chrome is what they called it. And that's going to be a fixture going forward in some way, shape, or form. So, but Hank's right, 100%. I mean, recruits pay attention to that stuff. That's such a part of the game now. When you're trying to get a kid to commit to you, they want to look good. And it seems so silly on the surface, but at the same time, everybody's doing it. So if you're not keeping up, you're falling behind.
All right. Michigan. Jandy's a Michigan fan.
Yeah.
One of the most noticeable, prominent helmets you will ever see that stands out. But they've got some deal going with Nike.
They're the jump. Yeah, they're the first college team to sign with Jumpman to make their uniforms, and that takes effect next year. So, there's some changes coming in with Harbaugh coming in. And it can't hurt, all other things being equal. I mean, we did a recruiting piece. I don't remember one high school athlete saying that's the one reason I'm going to go play at wherever is
not
because
the one
uniform.
reason, but it's
but
one
all
of the
things
equation.
being equal. All things being equal, it doesn't hurt to have a little uni game.
So Michigan won't have the swoosh; they'll have the Jordan icon,
the Jumpman,
spread legs, Jumpman.
Yep.
All right, very cool. Back to Notre Dame quickly. We got the college playoff finally. Is it going to be the same teams over and over again, or will Notre Dame ever get back into that 4-team college playoff?
I think the Irish have their work cut out for them, really. When you look at their schedule, there's just not a whole lot that jumps off of it to say, hey, this is this stretch of games could be a season-defining stretch for them that could make them stand out amongst the crowd of those SEC and Big Ten schools. But I do think that eventually, especially if they expand the playoff at some point, that the Irish, they'll have a chance to get in there at some point.
If it was top 8, yes.
They've got their work cut out for them.
Well, you said you're a traditionalist. So as a traditionalist, Notre Dame doesn't play a conference schedule. Do you think they would be well served to get into a conference, that maybe had a little more punch? They so often play the USCs. It's just been, a thing going on for such a long time. Would they be better served, do you think, as a fan?
I think absolutely. I think the Big Ten would have been the best fit for them a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I agree.
But they chose to stay independent and to keep things as is, as far as being able to schedule however they want and call their own shots. But I think they're on the short end of the stick now when it comes to these playoffs, not having that power conference backing them.
All right. Irish are number 11 in the preseason poll, Ohio State number 1. And just quickly, I thought this was cool. There's a kid named Cedric Lang, played at Sioux Falls O'Gorman. He was a basketball player. He's about 6'10", went down to UTEP, Texas El Paso, played 4 years of basketball. And he's going to hang around and play tight end for the football team this year. We've seen guys from the basketball forward transition. Jandy, this is
He's
a pretty cool
awfully
thing.
tall, though. I mean,
is that too tall?
You probably know better than I do.
How
Hank.
tall is he?
6'10".
He's about 6'10".
That's a tall boy. But
I mean, it's hard to get. You got to get low. Low man wins. I mean, right?
Not in the end zone.
They do, but not in the end zone. That's right. If you can go up and get it at 6'10", like a Jimmy Graham, he's not 6'10".
No.
Antonio Gates, he's sure not 6'10". I've never seen anybody at that height be able to run down the field and athletically go up and get it. If he can, he's going to be the man.
Dale Moss is a 6'10". I mean, he's proven locally, that basketball guys can make that transition and be successful not only at the FCS, but then go on and maybe even make some kind of a
but he was a
pro career
high
out of
school
it.
star. That's the difference.
There is
football.
there is a difference there. The basketball
I don't remember
background
Cedric
is
Lang
more
playing.
pure with Lang. Yeah,
He's a
being
good
a star.
basketball player.
I'm talking about football.
All right. Yeah, something to keep an eye on down at UTEP with Ced Lang. All right, a little SDSU football when we come back. And the Coyotes at the University of South Dakota, what do they got to do to get some wins in the Missouri Valley this year?
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports Network is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back to Benchwarmers. Missouri Valley Conference football teams, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, the University of South Dakota getting ready for their seasons. Down in Vermilion, Jay Elsen, the Coyotes got to get something going. No wins in the conference last year. It's been a struggle for a couple of years here. This is a broad question, but what do they need to do to get some victories in the Valley?
Well, there's a lot, but I think stability at the quarterback spot would certainly help. It would go a long way anyway. And
not happening this year, right?
Ryan Sager's going to be the guy. We know that. Kevin Earl, everybody expected at this time last year that he'd be rolling into his second full year as a starter, and boy, that didn't work out as planned at all. And so Kevin couldn't stay on the field, just couldn't stay healthy, and so Ryan Sager's going to be the guy. And so that's, on one hand, it's good that they know they're not depending on a competition throughout camp to determine a starter. He can kind of prepare as though he's got that job and go about it. You certainly don't want to be complacent with that, but at
because
the same
he's
time,
been the starter.
He has. He started 4 games when Earl was out last year. He went 2-2. He showed some limitations with his arm, but he can create some things with his feet. And so from everything that I've gathered so far, people have been really impressed with Ryan's work ethic, with his preparation, and with the level of improvement that he showed from this time last year to this time this year. So
if he's if he's good,
that will help.
What else?
That will help. And I think the other thing is that they, as a whole, as a team, they've got to stay healthy. They've got to keep guys on the field. Yeah. Last year, they came into the season thinking running back was going to be one of their deeper positions, and every single one of them got hurt. They're down to their to a redshirt freshman and a fullback playing running back at times last year. Josh Vandermartin, who started the year at quarterback in 2013, started last year at wide receiver, ended up taking some snaps at running back last year because they just didn't have anybody left. And they went out, they really addressed that situation in recruiting. They brought in 4 to 5 guys that they think will help them, if not right now, immediately, or in the future, I should say, and guys that will, all very athletic, that all bring something a little bit different to the table. And so I think they're excited about the prospects of that position right now, but until you see it out on the field, it's hard to know just how well off they'll be. But depth is something that they really tried hard to address in the offseason, and at least according to the paper, as far as what they signed, they seem to have accomplished that.
I think a little bit of luck could go real long for these guys.
Bad breaks.
Injury-wise, for sure, but they've lost countless games by 10 points or less over the last few years, and so maybe the ball bounces their way a couple times this year, and they can get a couple more W's.
All right, South Dakota State plays at the University of South Dakota on November 14th. We'll have that game live on Midco Sports Network. The Jackrabbits, back-to-back playoff seasons, 9 wins in each of those years. Do they have another at least 9-win season in them this year?
Yeah, I think that they do. I think they've got the talent level now to be able to reload at certain positions every single year. Now, this is a vital year for that, given the guys that have left in Zach Zenner and Austin Sumner and Schneider. Some big holes to fill, no doubt about it. They've got to make some strides in fall camp and come out ready to make plays this fall. But I think they can do it, absolutely.
Brady Mangarelli is going to be a name at running back. Won't make you forget about Zach Zenner, but Brady Mangarelli's pretty good. We'll see who the quarterback's going to be. Taryn Christian, a kid from Sioux Falls Roosevelt that you follow, Jandy, might be in the mix there at quarterback. So we'll see about the Jackrabbits. Defensively, they're going to be very good, though.
Absolutely. Questions in the secondary right now. They've had some guys move out of the program that certainly were going to be contributors this year, unfortunately. But injury-wise, it looks like they're pretty healthy. Defensive line will be much improved. Linebackers will, for the most part, be the core outside of the secondary, too. But no, defense should be okay.
Yeah, it's got it rolling pretty good right now. Again, 4 South Dakota games here on Midco Sports Network this year, 5 at home for South Dakota State this season. When we come back, a little NFL. We'll get into some predictions with these geniuses when we come back on Benchwarmers.
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports Network is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back to Benchwarmers. This is our Winging It question. We go into the crowd here at Buffalo Wild Wings and get a question from somebody here. And for that, here is Alex Heinert.
All right, thanks, Tom. I'm here with Jeff from Sioux Falls. Jeff, a big Dallas Cowboys fan. You got a question about the NFC East for our panel.
Who do you guys think is going to win the NFC East this year?
All right, simple as that. Who do you think is going to win the NFC East?
Cowboys.
Easy as that. Tom, back to you guys.
All right, thanks to Jeff. He's from Sioux Falls, but got some family in Dallas. So wants to know the NFC East. Who's going to win the NFC East? You got Dallas, Philly, the Giants, Washington.
I agree with Jeff. I think the Cowboys will win it. I think if they get their situation at running back figured out, because obviously DeMarco Murray is no longer in the picture, if they can find a guy who step up and at least, handle that load, I don't think anybody can expect one of these guys to do what Murray did last year, but if they can be serviceable, I think they're in good shape.
Yeah, I think the NFC East will be a little stronger than they have been in the past. I think you're going to have 2 10-win teams, the Cowboys and the Eagles. I think the Eagles win the division, though.
I mean, okay. Go Eagles. I think the Giants will be much improved this year, but I'm taking the Dallas Cowboys. Best offensive line in the NFL, Cowboys.
You keep hearing that, so it must be true, huh? Out of those 4 teams, which quarterback do you like the best out of those 4? You got Romo, you got Bradford in Philadelphia, you got Eli, and you got Griffin.
Romo.
I have Romo.
Romo's far and above any of those guys?
Not even close.
Although Eli's going to have a better year than he has in the past.
Stop
with
it. No, he's
ODB,
not.
yeah, with Beckham, how can't you? For a full season, his numbers improved so much when Beckham came in. He cut down on the
Eli
interceptions
figures
through
out
work.
ways to screw things like
he'll
that
be better,
up, though,
but
so I
Romo's
don't know.
better. Yeah.
Romo.
The whole division's a disaster. But all right, we'll see if Dallas can get to the Super Bowl. We'll talk about our top fantasy picks and picks for the Super Bowl when we come back.
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports Network is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
All right, our poll question this week here at Buffalo Wild Wings is who will win the NFC North this season? And a lot of love for the Green Bay Packers, more than 50% of the vote. Lions and the Vikings share the rest of the votes. Nothing for the Chicago Bears, which I don't think is any surprise. But Jandy, your opinion on this question?
Yeah, I think they pretty much nailed it. Vikings are going to threaten for the division, but Packers are too good.
Jay?
Packers are still the best team in the division, but I think the gap between them and everybody else is getting smaller. The Vikings are getting better, and it's they got to make it count.
Vikings are going to have a top 5 defense in the league this
Yes.
year. I think much improved under Coach Zim. They're going to push the pack, but the Packers are going to win the division, no doubt about it. The Bears, on the other hand, they have the potential to be the worst team in the NFL.
All right.
Cutler.
Let's go to the Super Bowl predictions here quickly. Jason Andera.
I'm going to stay with the Packers. I picked them last year, fell just short. I think they've got enough this year to take it to that level. And then in the AFC, I'm torn between the Broncos and the Patriots. I think the Broncos got better on defense. The Patriots got worse on defense. I'm going to go with defense. I'm going to take the Broncos.
Packers, Broncos, all right.
Yeah.
I would take Packers Steelers in a rematch of Super Bowl 45. I like the Packers to win it all, but I'm a homer, so take that for what it's worth.
I like the Steelers this year. I think that Ben Roethlisberger, he's the man. I think that defense is much improved. They had some injuries last year that really hurt their D. I think they're going to make a run and win the Super Bowl. I think they're going to beat randomly for whatever reason. I think the New Orleans Saints are going to have a little bit of a comeback this year.
Ooh, usually I'm the guy with the off-the-wall answer to this question. I'm going to go Colts, Cowboys.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Better than last year.
Agree with that? It was better
I
than
like
my
that
pick
pick.
from last year with Carolina. But, all right, as we finish up here, you got the fantasy draft, you've got the top pick, the number 1 pick. Who are you going to take, Jason?
Oh, this is a tough question, but I think I'm going to go. I think by the end of the year, Eddie Lacy's going to be the best running back, so I'd take him first.
I think people, the NFL's getting away from the running back spot, but there's so much importance on a good running back in the fantasy game. I think running back number 1, I might go Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, Peterson.
Yep, I'm with you, Jay. I think Adrian has a bounce-back season and pushes for another 2,000 yards.
Jamal Charles, you thought might be good as well.
If he can stay healthy, I like
Le'Veon Bell, if he
Aaron
wasn't
Rodgers,
suspended.
you guys all love the Packers, but nobody would take Rodgers with the first pick?
Think running back.
Well, I'm going
Go
to
ahead
I
and
don't
take
have
it,
to pick. Thanks for watching.